Welcome back to the channel. This is part 2 of the Scout Rifle Scope review. So on this episode, we're going to mount up all these Scout scopes. We're going to talk about their specific All right, next up we have the Hi-Lux Scout Scope, and already by looking at this scope and where its optimal mounting position is, I can tell that whoever at Hi-Lux designed this scout scope, they read the assignment. They read Jeff Cooper's writings. Its optimal mounting position is right at the end of the ejection port. Scout scope eye relief, that's the more optimal position I feel. Just about a ½ inch in front of the ejection port is the optimal mounting position for this scope. It doesn't really have an and they're pretty distracting, to be honest with you. So this is a dud product. I've received a dud product from Amazon, so I wouldn't recommend this particular Viiko. This might be a lemon. I'm going to contact them after this review, but just let you know that this demo product they sent me to review has come as a lemon. It has a lot of flaws in it right now. So they sent me one really good one so far. I've noticed that all the features kind of line up, and this 1 to 10 intermediate idle leaf scope didn't come quite perfect. All right, last up we have the Vortex Crossfire 2 to 7 power scout scope. For me, the optimal eye relief for this scout optic is just ½ an inch in front of the ejection port. Magnification can be set with the thumb in one stroke. That's really nice and smooth. The turret is floatable with a little set screw. And it goes from 1 to 14. You can take the turret off, and I think you'll get accurate, precise, long-range shooting results. Reticle is the tried and true duplex. Pretty basic, but it'll get the job done, especially with the turret. I'll compare these Scout and conventional optics in a 25-yard snapshot drill. First of all, this test is entirely non-scientific. I simply don't have the ammunition to do all the reps needed to make this a really solid set of data. So all the data presented is for entertainment purposes. Big takeaway is that low magnification didn't actually help that much for my shooting style. I'm used to shooting the 25-yard snapshot drill with some level of magnification. So the scopes like the Leupold LVPO and the Leupold Freedom Scout, they had a lower magnification, 1.5, and some scopes like the Viiko 1 to 10 and 1 to 5, both of those didn't do that much better. It seemed like I was overwhelmed. It felt more cozy to see like a wider view through the scope, but it really didn't help with the precision needed to hit a small target, a 4-inch target at 25 yards. Another thing with the Viiko, the 1 to 10, the 1 power marked on the magnification dial, that's actually, I went through it and had to do several shoots. I had to do 4 shoots with that scope, the 1 to 10. And actually the 1 power marked is actually lower than 1. I think it's actually closer to 0.5. So in fact, it lets me see more of the world, but actually makes it very hard to zoom that mil-dot reticle onto the target. So that explains some of the hiccups I've had with that scope. That's a lot of red flags now, 2 red flags. The turrets are not set right. The magnification isn't what it says it is. For me so far, my initial comparisons to other scopes that are more trustworthy, the 2 power is closer to 1 power when it comes to the Viiko 1 to 10. So I'm going to go ahead and disqualify that particular scope from the rest of the test to come, but I'm still going to continue to use the 1 to 5. Another thing, the red dot did the best in the limited data set we have. I attribute that to really good reticle design by ACSS. It is the horseshoe of death. It is illuminated. It really draws the eye and lends itself to quick shooting. I think up close to this snapshot test, the red dot is the clear winner. I don't shoot that much red dot or illuminated optics, and that one just smoked the rest of the scout scopes. The Vortex did the poorest. I don't know why. It has similar magnification and characteristics to the rest of the optics represented. However, one thing I did notice in the 100-yard testing and the snapshot testing is it has a huge black dead space. You see a lot of the scope body. You see a lot of black, in the scope view, and of the scope body bulging out from the magnified viewing area of the scope. I really didn't like that. Maybe since it was the lowest alphabetically, I was biased and tired by the time I got to it, but I ran 5 runs through it, and the best one I'm showing you now is the only one I could get out of it. Everything else was very bad. So yeah, I'm not really super jazzed about the Vortex scope right now, but let's see how it does in the next test to come. Field of view. Field of view doesn't have much bearing on the performance of this test for me. It seemed like the scopes, like the Burris 2.75 power, did really well considering it is a very small field of view, but it has other good characteristics. So what characteristics do I think really lend to make some scopes do better than others in this test? It comes down to usable scope image. Like I said, with the Vortex, it has a lot of unusable scope image. You see a lot of black space. You see a lot of the metal of the scope body itself. But it isn't just usable scope image. It's a combination with some level of magnification. 2 to 3 power seems to do really well. And it seems like illumination really brought the best out in my shooting style. So usable scope image, a little bit of magnification, and illumination if possible is really what makes a good snapshot scope, whether it be a conventional, a scout scope, or LVPO. Oh yeah, let's talk about the my 3 to 15 power target scope. That one at 3 power seemed to do pretty good. The reticle itself, since it's a first focal plane, was really thin, really wiry, and that caused me to slow down and take some pause a little bit. But the scope image itself, it was very intuitive, very quick to get up, and the magnification, 3 power, didn't slow me down any more than a 2.75 or 3 power scout scope would. All right, I got my full-size IPSC steel target set up in field conditions here. It's been painted camouflage, there's a little bit of foliage covering it up. We're gonna see how these scout scopes view this target at 100 yards in normal full light conditions and in low light conditions. We've done 2 series of tests for all of these scout scopes and the controls. So let's look at the conclusions. For speed, it's hard to dispute that the red dot sight is a really dominant, quick optic for a scout rifle. Really close behind was the Hi-Lux, and right behind that were the 2 Burris scout scopes, the fixed power and the 2-7. For speed, I recommend those series of scopes. When it came to low light, it's a little bit more analog. I hope some of the footage I collected out in the field, you can really see what I saw through these scopes. It's really clear to me that the Vortex 3-15 Viper PST2, which is a mid-end, is a $1,000 scope. It is a much larger piece of glass, higher quality glass overall than any of these other scout scopes. That was a little bit better, but right behind, punching well above their price weight, was the Crimson Trace and Hi-Lux. Those 2, you can see it in the video I collected, and I saw it myself when looking at the IPSC target, that they were quite clear and bright considering the low light conditions. Now when it comes to glass clarity, again, it's more of an analog kind of feel measurement. It's really difficult to measure without instruments. In my opinion, the best glass clarity belonged to the Leupold, the LVPO and the Leupold VX Freedom Scout Scope. I'd say about tied with Leupold would be the Crimson Trace and Hi-Lux Scout Scopes. Those are really high quality, and they just look really nice and crisp and clear and have good color when looking through them. The Sightmark is right up there too, right behind, I think, Crimson Trace and Hi-Lux. And Viiko, they advertise they use Scott, I think it's German-made glass for their optics. They're quite clear. Towards the bottom end of clarity is both Burris's, the Burris Scout 2.75 fixed and the Burris Scout 2-7 variable power Scout scope. Both of them have a little bit of darkness. The Scout 2-7 by Burris has a lot of edge distortion, kind of the fishbowl, kind of fish eye look to it, no matter what magnification or how I adjust it. It's a little bit of distortion. The Vortex, again, like, it has that dark dead space in the scope image, and it also has a lot of edge distortion. So those, I think, are the least clear of the scout scopes we have here. Now when it comes to choosing an overall best scout scope when it comes to speed and low light performance, the Hi-Lux, in my opinion, comes out as the top so far in my limited data set, and right behind it is the Crimson Trace pistol scope. I wouldn't hesitate to use either of those out in the field in low light or up close shooting for speed. Thank you so much for watching part 2 of this Scout Rifle Scope review. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, set notifications, and please support more content coming about shooting scout rifles and optics by signing up for my Patreon. It's down in the link in the video information. It really goes a long way to help make better content, get more ammunition to do the shooting test, get the rings, get all the stuff together to create content like this. Thanks so much.